As we are a site dedicated to young people in Northern Ireland, we came across some research that showed 58% of years 11s and 12s wish to one day own their own business. What's your view of this statistic, and how do you think that data can help?
Well, I took great heart from that statistic, actually, because it shows to me that people do want to be innovative and want to be entrepreneurs in Northern Ireland, and that's great for the economy for the future. Just yesterday I was at an event called The Big Idea, which was encouraging children and young people, and indeed university educated people as well, to look at what can they do that's entrepreneurial for business, what's their big idea, as it were. And it was amazing to see some young kids at primary school coming up with some really super ideas. And so those are I know it's a pun or a cliche, those are the future of Northern Ireland, and if we can encourage more young people into being entrepreneurs, then I think that's hugely important. I think Barack Obama has very famously said that we need less lawyers and more engineers. I not necessarily agree with that comment because I'm a lawyer, but I can see where he's coming from. We in Northern Ireland have a very proud history of innovation, and I certainly want to encourage it.
How are you coping with juggling being a councillor and being a Minister of Deity?
Well, it was a huge issue, as you know, in the by-election, amongst other huge issues in the by-election, but we'll not go into those, about how you could be a Minister of Government and be a local government councillor. Whilst most of my colleagues are councillors on the executive, it seemed to be a big issue because I was a minister who had stepped down because of conflicting interests when I was in the Department of Environment, because I was in charge of local government reform, and when you're in charge of local government reform you can't really be sitting in a local council as well. So I stepped aside. But when the opportunity arose due to the death of a party colleague, I decided to run for election again. And to be honest with you, I think it's a good continuum, and I've used that quite a lot, because what you're actually doing is at the council you're very much at the grassroots, and then if you move on to MLA you're able to raise issues in the Assembly, and then if you're also lucky enough to be a minister, then you can raise issues that you've heard about at local council around the executive table. So I actually think it gives a very good plug-in to what's happening locally on the ground, and in actual fact I think it'll probably help me as a minister.
We hear a lot about the credit crunch on the news. How do you think it is affecting families and young people who are very close to the poverty line?
Yeah, and that's the huge issue for us in the executive, and we're all happy to say that the executive's up and running again. And one of the big issues is how we, as a regional government, can help people on a very individual basis, and that's what we're looking at the minute. Because I have the energy portfolio, I'm involved in a fuel poverty ministerial group. It's also the Department of Finance and Personnel, Department of Social Development, and the Department of Health. So the four ministers are meeting together to bring forward a package on poverty, and we're moving that ahead now, and because the executives meeting, hopefully we'll be able to take that forward more quickly.
Following on that question, in the general sense of the Northern Ireland economy, we will start to hear bad news like in the United Kingdom or in the Republic of Ireland's nation news, or will Northern Ireland be okay?
Well, we've had conflicting reports. We've had a lot of forecasts carried out about are we in a recession, when will we be in a recession, what will our growth be. We've had mixed reports around that. Some reports are saying that we might even manage to grow slightly next year, be it 0.5% or whatever. We were growing very steadily before this downturn arrived. We have a large public sector, and that to a certain extent acts as somewhat of a buffer to us, but I think we'll probably see a downturn that will affect, and this is the important point, individuals, and that's where the problem lies. But my job as Economy Minister is to look beyond what's happening now to the future, so that when we come out of this global economic downturn, that we're best placed to be out there in the world and to offer Northern Ireland as a good place to do business. And that's why I took the opportunity to go to America just last month. And what I was hearing from people there, anybody that had invested in Northern Ireland were very, very pleased with their investment. 75% of Americans who invest in Northern Ireland reinvest in Northern Ireland. I think that's a tremendous statistic, because they believe that the young people that work in Northern Ireland are flexible, they're very good to work with, and indeed we have the youngest population in Europe of people, and they very much welcome the fact that when they come here there's a skills base there and people are very good to work with. I mean, I can say that as the Economy Minister, but when I hear that back from American investors, it's very powerful for me, and they're very good advocates for us in America.